Hello and welcome back to another out-of-spec detailing video here from Clear Detailing in Northern Colorado. I am super excited for today's video because finally I get to bring you the automotive detailing inspired high flow pressure washer here from Ryobi. This is an insane value for everything that you see here in front of me, including the pump, all of the accessories. We're going to be going through a full unboxing, checking out what's what, talking about the quality of it, and of course putting it through our test to see what the GPM, as well as to see what the PSI and overall usability of this pressure washer truly is. Welcome back and let's jump into it. Before we jump into today's video, I want to let you guys know this is absolutely not a sponsored piece of content. Ryobi did not reach out to me. They did not send me this product. I actually went to my local Home Depot, picked this up, paid for it with my own money. So before we get to actually unboxing this, seeing what's inside, doing our tests with this, let's quickly talk about pricing and specs. This sits at $149, and if the specs actually prove to be really nice on this, I think that's one heck of a deal. That Kranzla pressure washer sitting behind me, just the pump alone, is about $1,200. So we're talking almost 10 times the price once you get hoses, all the other fun accessories that this actually comes with. Now, the claimed specifications on this are 1.8 GPM, 1200 PSI. Now, a lot of you may think, wow, that's really low on the PSI scale. And I would agree with you, but that's what we're looking for here in detailing. What we are typically trying to look for is around that 1000 PSI mark, but with as much flow or GPM as possible. It is completely counterintuitive to a lot of you, but that's what we're actually looking for here. You are trying to get as much water onto the car. This helps with foam cannons. This also helps rinsing vehicles down and letting the chemicals do their job. So one of the things that is a little weird with this product in terms of pricing is it's listed as $149. But when I went to check out on Home Depot to do an in-store pickup, it was actually $159, and then I pay taxes on top of that. I'm not sure why there's a price discrepancy, if it's a Home Depot app thing, if it's a Home Depot in-store, whatever the whole situation, it's still very, very reasonably priced. So very excited for this because this product has been out for, I'm going to say, slightly over 6 months now, maybe even slightly longer, and it has been unbelievably hard to get your hands, or hand in my particular case, on one of these units because I think supply did not necessarily meet demand. These things have been blowing out of the stores as soon as they are there. Recently, as of last night, there was about 300 or so units available. You could ship it to your house, ship it to your local Home Depot, whatever it was. So let's get to unboxing this thing here. Very excited to check this bad boy out. So truth be told, this is my first time ever checking out the Ryobi pressure washers in general. I have used previously, when I first started my detailing channel, using an electric Greenworks pressure washer, I think it was. And then when I purchased this shop, I actually upgraded to the Kranzla pressure washer, did the full obsessed garage style pressure washer setup. Been absolutely loving that thing. If you are interested, I will be doing some more comparison videos. I'm going to be putting this head to head with my Kranzla pressure washer. We're going to talk about how you can upgrade this. This is really an unboxing video to see what this thing comes like straight out of the box. So first couple of things here, we've got an instruction manual. Never need that, do we? We can register to win $10,000 worth of products. Oh, another instruction manual. Won't be needing that. So let's pop all this open. Let's see what we got going here. So we've got a plastic handle. I'm going to set that over here. We have our actual gun here. Interesting angle on this, I would say. I personally prefer more of a 90-degree angle, if you will, on this. This is a little far down. You can see if my hand is sitting straight, this is kind of pointing up a little bit. It's all personal preference. It actually feels decently robust. It's pretty lightweight. We've got quick disconnect tips on here, as well as, unfortunately, down here, not quick disconnects for our hose. We'll double check that there's nothing else in here. So that'll be on the list of upgrades of how you can make your life way easier by simply just boom, plugging this in, you're good to go. So this feels so far a pretty good start. Next thing we're going to pull out of the box here is this very, very cute, very tiny foam cannon. Now, I think this again will be one of the upgrades you would want to have, but this is kind of nice. If you don't want to spend a ton of money, you want a quick little starter kit, you just need to get going, this is going to be able to handle some soap. I don't even see, so this seems 750 milliliters, actually surprisingly bigger than I thought it would be. On the photos, I thought this was probably going to be like, I don't know, 16 ounces or so. So that's pretty decent, I would say. So up to 24 ounces in there. That's looking pretty nice. We'll get into more of that. Toss this over. So it looks like we've got an extension wand here. I know a lot of you actually really love these. I've never really used them. I personally just prefer using the stubby nose nozzle here with all of my pressure washer tips. So this will help for rinsing larger areas up top, doing things like that. Pretty cool. It feels pretty nice quality, all brass fittings on here. That would be one of my only negatives so far, but again, we gotta realize this is very price conscious of this. So I personally prefer to have all stainless steel fittings. This is something, of course, you can upgrade later on. All right, next couple of things we have inside of here are actually our pressure washer tips. So we've got 3 of them. We've got a yellow 15 degree, we've got a 40 degree white, as well as a 25 degree green. Now on this says it is a 25 and it looks like a 3.4 orifice on the side of here. Interesting. Never seen them really done like that. These are pretty interesting little tips. So they are kind of hard plastic on the outer side, but this is kind of a soft rubberized tip, and you can kind of see in there how that is looking. I think that's pretty nice, and definitely a heck of a lot less easy to lose than something like I have on my MTM nozzles. I'm curious to see if these are actually worth it. This is really for, you know, if you're pressure washing wheel wells or something and you smack the fender of your car, it's not necessarily going to scratch it. This is going to be a lot softer on here. Now, I still think if you don't get this locked onto your pressure washer, it becomes a bullet. You're probably still going to cause dents here. Not a knock on that. These actually feel very high quality. Next thing that comes in the box here, a hose. Now I believe this is a 40-foot hose on here, which is actually pretty nice. I run a 50-foot hose, works perfect. So glad they're actually giving you some length here. First thing that I'm noticing here that I'm a little disappointed by is just in general the quality of this hose. Now again, keep in mind, this is really all about the pump for me. I think you can accessorize this and spend a little bit more money and have a great pressure washer system by something like upgrading this hose. Now, the issue that really concerns me with the hose like this is just the overall longevity of it. It's not necessarily the size. I don't think that's a horribly wrong thing there. What concerns me about these is being able to split. So I use all the MTM hoses here at the shop because if one of those splits, they can cause some serious damage, either ripping the pressure washer nozzle out of your hand. I actually just recently saw a video on Instagram of this. A guy was washing his RS6. He was walking around the car. The hose split and the nozzle went flying against the car and dented his Audi RS6. So this little bit of a negative for me, but again, I think it's totally okay at this price point. You can always upgrade later. All right, and now we're getting into our actual pump. So let's check this thing out. It's got a nice long cord on it. Not sure exactly how long this is. I would probably guess around, I don't know, 25, 30 feet or so. We can probably check that. Also, I intentionally didn't watch any review videos of this product. I just read through some Reddit forums, seeing what people were talking about it, and just wanted to give you first initial impressions. So the pump is actually really nice and small here. So I can see on the front, this is where our pressure washer will actually hook up into up here. If we can pull this guy off, boom, we'll set that off to the side. And then on the back, you actually have your water inlet. So this is inlet, outlet, and then on top of the machine here, you have a very simple on and off. Pretty straightforward here. And it feels, yeah, plasticky, but it's actually got some nice heft and weight to it. Of course, you've got a pump in here. And also what's really cool is you have the ability to mount your little nozzles up here if you want. So you can leave one in the gun, 2 down here. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? So we'll need to get all this screwed together and we'll start testing this thing. It's actually a pretty nice size, pretty convenient. This is definitely easily and mobile once we get the handle put on here. I think this is a pretty nice looking unit, especially for 150 bucks. That's pretty wild, isn't it? Before we get into the testing here, I just want to see how this thing works straight out of the box. So we're going to grab our hose reel here. This is our outlet. So this is an M22 by 14 millimeter fitting here. Boom, it'll go right on there. Again, this is an area that is super helpful to get some nice quick disconnects so you don't have to twist on and off every single time. It also prevents a lot of leakage. Once that's tight, you're good to go. Now at the back here, looking at our water inlet, I would be very cautious about this. And this is potentially an area that could show some wear and tear over time. Reason being is these plastic fittings around here can break off. I'm sure there's probably a way to fix that in the future. What I would avoid is putting a ton of kind of lateral pressure, side to side pressure on this as much as you possibly can. So we're gonna bolt this up onto here. Again, this is another area you can do quick disconnects to make this way easier, way quicker, and make you get to washing your car a whole heck of a lot quicker. But now that we've got that in, we just need to hook up our pressure washer gun. We'll turn this thing on and see how it is. We've got our water flowing for 30 seconds here. Let's turn this on for the first time. Wow, really quick, very easy on-off switches here. May also be able to notice you got a green light. I don't want to bend that back there. But man, pretty quick. Let's see how this thing is feeling. Nice. Okay, so a couple of things I really like here. Immediately when you pull the trigger, you have instant pressure. A lot of pressure washers do this kind of ramp up, if you will. So you hold it down and it just takes a while to build that pressure. You can see what's happening here when I actually let off. The machine is building that pressure. You can kind of see it kind of torque up there. That is also something to consider if you're wanting to mount this on a wall. That could be a little tricky, to say the least. It's also, now thinking about a wall mount, could be a little tricky with having the water inlet at the back. I'm sure with some elbows you could get around that if you're trying to flush mount it against a wall. But just be cautious of this because I'm already noticing it likes to walk here, but feels really nice. Also, for the sound coming out of this, it's obviously not the quietest pressure washer I've ever heard in my career, but I will say it sounds pretty healthy. It's a little higher pitch sound that I'm used to with my Kranza that's a little bit deeper. Again, that's 10 times the machine there, but I would not say it's bad. It's a good, healthy sounding machine, and I really think you could wash either late at night, early in the morning, and not completely piss off your neighbors, and pretty straightforward. Now, for the actual gun here, it actually feels pretty nice in the hand. It's nice and lightweight. I think a lot of that has to do with the very thin cable, of which, yeah, is just pure spaghetti. I've tried to roll it out. It just keeps wanting to conform in there. Other than that though, this feels great. The tips in here, nice quick disconnect, and you can see how much easier that is than actually screwing it in like we did here with our M22 14 millimeter. So really liking this so far. The trigger is a little sensitive. So if I just give it a little half press, you can see it's just boom, immediately on. Obviously you don't want to continuously start your machine like that. So spraying something down, stop, start, that type of stuff. That's how you can wear motors out pretty quickly in here. But man, overall feels really nice. So I think the next thing here is we need to kind of claim check this. So we're going to be using our 40-degree tip here. And again, this is a 40-degree and a 3.4 orifice, which I've never seen. Normally they do it in halves, so like a 3, a 3.5, or a 4. Ryobi must be using whatever they're using on here. So we're gonna see how close we get to that 1200 PSI, how close we get to that 1.8 GPM. And again, for automotive pressure washers, we're looking for around 1,000. That kind of 900 to 1,100, 1,200 range is acceptable. But typically, if you drop this down, the GPM actually comes up higher. This is the more important metric for me here, because this to me feels totally fine on the hand. If you're putting your hand in front of here and it's stinging, that means you have too much pressure going on. Again, think about what that's doing to your paint there. So really liking this so far. Let's unhook all this stuff. I need to get my pressure meter on here and we can start some flow testing. Okay, one thing I want to note here, I was just playing with these off camera. So these are actually not all the same orifice size. So if I look at this 40-degree here, you'll see it's 40-degree and then a 3.4 orifice. That 3.4 at the end of it is your orifice size. If I come over here to the 25-degree, where is it at? 25, 3, 4 as well. So 3.4 orifice. And then if I come over here to the 15 degree, but a 4.2 orifice. So this should give us the least amount of PSI on this machine, but we'll check how all these tips do on here, as well as, of course, our foam cannon fully loaded. All right, so as you guys can see here, to get our pressure gauge in here, had to do some quick disconnects. Shouldn't make any sort of real change in terms of the actual performance of the machine here, but definitely just wanted to note that. So starting off here with our 15 degree tip. So that looks to me like it leveled out right at about 700 PSI. Jumping up now to our 25 degree tip, again, bringing that orifice size down so our pressure should go up. Can see it levels out there right at about 900 PSI, which I think is actually pretty darn respectable. Between that 900 to 1100 PSI sounds pretty darn good to me. Moving up to our 40 degree tip now. Can see hovering around that 900, 950 range there also. So now let's check out the foam cannon. I've got this thing cranked all the way to soap. Let's see how this thing does. So it looks like to me right about 1150-ish PSI once it continually builds there. And not too bad soap there. I would say a little bit more runny than I'd like, but not too terribly bad. All right, guys, to do our GPM calculation here, we have a completely empty bucket, and I also have our pressure washer with a lid of a hole that I've cut through it. We've got our 40 degree tip. It's kind of the industry standard. We can also test it with a 15 degree as well. We're gonna place this on top of here, seal this up. We're gonna run the pressure washer for exactly 1 minute and then measure how much water was outputted in exactly 1 minute. 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Done. All right, so now let's measure and see how much water we put in exactly 1 minute. So after starting out here with our 40 degree tip, again, around that 3.4, 3.5 orifice size, really, I think it's probably 3.5 as you kind of normally traditionally round them up. We filled up our bucket here, and this is what we extracted in terms of 1 minute of use with that specific tip on there. As you can see over here, 5,000 milliliters of water, and over here, exactly 1,200 milliliters, giving us a total of 6,200 milliliters. Now, in terms of gallons, that is 1.638. So as you guys can tell, slightly below that 1.8 claim. Now, as it should here, if we use a 15 degree tip with the slightly bigger orifice size, we should get a little bit higher flow on this. We'll see how high we can get into that 1.8 territory, creeping up towards that. I would say this is kind of what I expected with this setup. They are taking those peak numbers, probably from the foam cannon using it, and then probably the highest flow from the 15 degree tip there that they are opening up that orifice size on. Now again, in the next couple of videos, I will be playing with different accessories, playing with orifice tip size to see if we can kind of dial in this a little bit more. The only thing that's going to happen though, if we use another 40 degree tip and we actually open that size up, it could give us more flow, but then again, now we're really starting to lose PSI as we're hovering right around that 950, 975 mark. So that really could drop us down quite a bit and it could become quite less effective. So again, that 1,000 PSI is really kind of what we aim for. So this could be kind of perfectly optimized, but we'll play in an upcoming video. So I'm going to restart this test, show you the whole thing again using the 15 degree, and then we'll fill these up, see how much more water we have. 3, 2, 1, stop. So guys, as expected, we opened up that orifice size, which gave us quite a bit more flow. not quite a bit, but a little bit more, definitely over a minute. So that adds up, of course, over time. But also keep in mind, we lost PSI. So moving up size, we got a little bit more, and actually 400 milliliters more of water into our bucket within exactly 1 minute. So we've got 5,000 milliliters over here, 1,600 milliliters over here, so 400 up. Now what that means is 1.74 GPM in total. So definitely creeping up towards that 1.8, not quite exactly that 1.8, but pretty darn close. So it's very obvious to me where they're getting these stats and numbers on here. They're getting that from using a 15-degree tip with the widest orifice that they kind of feel is acceptable there, even lowering that PSI. And then the PSI gains, that 1200 they're getting, is really from using the foam cannon. Now you can see spikes of these at any time, but yeah, pretty darn close. I'm curious to see what you guys think of those specs. I think they're very respectable. Again, for 150 bucks, not 1,500 bucks. I'm thinking of that damn Kranzla back there. 150 bucks. That actually seems pretty reasonable, pretty respectable. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Again, coming up, I really want to play with more orifice sizes. Well, guys, let's wrap up some of my final thoughts here. Overall, I have to say my impression is very positive of this machine and relatively even the accessories that come with it. Not everyone is perfect, and there's better ways to optimize and get higher quality ones. So do stay tuned for those upcoming videos. Overall though, I need to bring myself down to reality at times because I'm so used to using that Kranzla pressure washer that sits above me that is genuinely 10x the price of all of this sitting right here for just a pump. This thing is really, really nice. This is a great starter kit for many people out there, DIY enthusiasts, maybe even if you're starting up a detailing business and you just need something. Instead of, you've got a little bit of money, maybe you got money from your family, money from your friends, maybe you've saved up enough money to start this business. This is a phenomenal starting point for you to go. You don't need to go out and buy the Kranzla right away. Absolutely not. You can 100% wash cars with this setup, how it sits here, but you can also improve upon it. So overall, pretty nice. The GPM here, I would say, again, once you start playing around with it, you understand what they're doing here. They're taking the highest readings using the foam cannon and then the bigger orifice. So that could be changed if you grab a 40-degree orifice, which is kind of the, I would say, industry-wide size. Open that bad boy up a little bit. You're going to lose a little bit of that pressure, but gain a little bit more flow. But maybe this is actually kind of perfectly optimized for this specific pump, since we're kind of sitting right around that 1,000 PSI and dropping it, a little bit bigger orifice. We drop down to 700 PSI, which is, yeah, it's getting kind of weak at that point. But overall good impressions here. The thing that kind of stands out to me, of which I really like in the accessory realm, are two things. I actually don't mind the spray gun whatsoever. It feels nice in the hand. It's nice and light. I'm, again, used to carrying around a big MTM one with a very, very thick hose on it, and it can be quite a bit heavier. This actually feels quite nice. I also really like these tips. They stand up nice. They're not as easy to lose. I can't tell you how many times I, set my 40-degree tip down somewhere and I'm like scrambling around. These are a lot easier to see. And I also like that these have some rubberized tips on them so that you can go around, clean fender liners and get in there and not actually damage the heck out of the paint. So that's a huge positive from me. I would say what's a little on the not so great side is the hose. The hose to me is just kind of a miss. I personally wish they would sell this pump without any of the accessories. As much as I think this gun is fine, there's better alternatives out there, of course, and you can probably pick one up on Amazon for relatively low money that's going to be very similar to this. If they would, I don't know what the price point would be, what they value this kit as, but if they take off 25 bucks, if they take off maybe up to 50 bucks, that becomes a huge value proposition there. I, again, don't know what they value all this at, but that could be interesting. So that'd be my feedback to Ryobi. Sell this as a pump by itself. They do that with a lot of their tools. Sometimes they don't come with batteries. Sometimes it's tool only. So I think this kind of stuff for, those weekend warrior enthusiasts that are going to want to upgrade their system a little bit, this is kind of a waste to have. The foam cannon here, kind of as I expected, not amazing. It's just quite watery, I guess would be the best way to put it. This is the same dilution I use straight out of the MTM, so I just poured the MTM right in there. I'll make another video, you know, comparing the Kranzla setup I have up there to exactly this, and then we're gonna fully kit this thing out, upgrading the hose on it. We're gonna get all quick disconnects. I'm gonna walk you through that process, what that looks like. I'm not gonna go crazy because I wanna keep it in budget for you guys, because obviously if you're coming to here, you are very budget conscious, so I don't think it makes sense to go buy a $90 foam cannon from MTM when this entire kit costs 150 bucks. So we'll be reasonable. We'll find something that has good value, but that also has pretty good performance that we can, you know, somewhat get a little bit closer to that Kranzla. But overall, really impressed with this. Again, if any of you are out there, you're on a budget, you just want to start washing your car, this is a fantastic starting point. I really think you could get away with literally keeping the hose, keeping everything else, swapping to a $15, $20 foam cannon off Amazon, and you're probably going to be good to go. Again, we'll play with all of that. But thanks so much for watching. I'm curious to know, what do you guys think of this thing? Are you interested in this? If you are, I will leave a link in the description. There's no affiliate links, but I want you guys to be able to go and pick it up. Hopefully, if you're trying to buy one of these and you're in the market for one, you can still pick one up while there are a few in inventory now. I'm betting it's going to get diminished quite a bit. So anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next couple of videos coming up with the Ryobi 1.8 GPM. Not really 1.8, but we'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.